All right. Welcome. So happy to have this time with you. I know how hard it is for us to just carve a little time out of our day. And so I'm so grateful anytime that I get to sit and communicate with women. It really lights me up and it's something that I'm really passionate about. The last decade of my life, I know that I don't know too many of you too well. And over the next hour, I think you'll get some deep insights into who I am. But the last decade, particularly the last 4 years of my life, have just been this huge lesson in trust, trusting the higher path, trusting a deeper calling, right? The type of calling within us that is very inconvenient and changes things up within us. The type of calling that demands that we keep searching and seeking in the world for the different things that we feel we're more aligned to. It's that feeling where we can't settle. Things might be good, but we're wondering all the time, is there great and am I worthy of that? And that's what I have been exploring and diving into and almost drowning in and eventually learning to swim in over the last decade. So together today in this time, my aim is to hold space for you to nourish yourself physically, emotionally, and spiritually. This should be a transcendent experience for you. When we're like listening to something or learning something, usually there are things that we know that we know. There are things that we know that we don't know. And then there's this whole other layer of consciousness that's just beyond the way that we even think and relate to the world. And when I create things for women, that's where I want to steer the conversation. If I was to jump on here and just say the things that you've already heard or say the things that you're reading all the time, right? It's a waste of your time. So a lot of what I say today might confuse you. You might find yourself saying like, huh, what's she on about? What's she on? And that's exactly my aim today, to disrupt your usual patterns of thought and thinking and just hold open a space where we can just explore different levels of consciousness. It's exciting stuff. When I speak with specificity, is the word that I use, right? I want to speak to the woman in you, not the woman that you think you are, not the woman that you show the world, not the woman that you have been told you have to be, the woman deep in there, beyond the roles that you play, the jobs that you have, the obligations that you have, the woman in there. That's who I want to spend an hour with today. I think a lot of us spend a lot of time setting goals for ourselves to feel a sense of accomplishment or progress or pride. And my experience in working with women, and I've been working with women for close to 15 years now, is that for most of us, what we're actually looking for is a feeling of coming home to our truth, of coming home in alignment. I'm that friend, right, that is dangerous to anything that is past its use by date in your life. Yeah, because I'll get you drunk on possibility and potential. And I'm the friend that encourages you to be an authentic, I like to call it sacred rebel. I want the sacred rebel in you to come out and play. So the conversations I have are not about being destructive. It's not about being irresponsible, but it is about giving yourself some space to really turn inward and have some really honest conversations with yourself, right? I want to tap into that knowing within you that you don't want to be doing everything in the same way that you have allowed yourself to believe that you have to do certain things. Yeah, it's that feeling that you don't just want to like break the mold or get out of the box, but you just want to be done with boxes altogether. And so I see my responsibility in being to support women in ways that allow them to understand what it means to be fully expressed so they can be the fullest expression of themselves and go out into the world and do what they're here to create and cause. That might be the family you raise. That could be the business you run, the gifts you share, whatever your magic is. As women, I think collectively we're beginning to release the idea that we have to hide what is unique or different about us, right? We know that we don't have to hide our gifts anymore in order to be safe or accepted. We're starting to disregard the norm and to be more comfortable with doing that. And so when we do this inner work sometimes and we commit to letting go of our old ways of thinking, old ways of being, it can sometimes be really challenging and really confronting to understand that the way that we have been thinking or what we have been believing might not be the only way. And not only that, it might not be the best way for us. And there can sometimes be, this period of grief around having to let go and mourn the loss of the idea you had for yourself, even if it wasn't working for you. And that's why often we need coaches, we need mentors, we need community around us to support us in doing this work. The truth of who we are is usually more bold and gritty and interesting than we would ever let anybody see when we're just introducing ourselves. If I jumped on here and said, tell me about yourself, we'd get that surface level, what's acceptable to share, what's common between us all, right? That's the way that, the majority of us communicate and operate within this society, right? But I want to hold space for you today to consider what path is right for you in your life. And it's not the path of safety and security that we've all been herded into thinking is the right way for us. But I just, for this next hour, want you to think about the path that leads you to alignment in whatever your highest calling might be. And as women, as mothers, as wives, as sisters, as friends, we are allowed to consider ourselves as being worthy. We are allowed to think of ourselves in this way. And I know it's so hard because even trying to have this conversation, we're all juggling so many things around us. But I'm here and I want to speak to the woman in you. I want to remind you that she is there within you. Inner work is deeply personal. And I want to break the illusion that we have to do it alone or that we have to keep it to ourselves. And similarly, it's my greatest pleasure to create a brave space for women to release the need to pretend like they have it all sorted out for themselves, that they even know where they're going, where they're headed, what they want, right? We don't have to pretend like it's all okay. The truth is, a lot of us, I think, in this time are waking up to the fact that the way we thought the world was, and maybe, our own egos are being shattered by everything that we've experienced in the last 12 months or so. The world that existed pre-pandemic doesn't exist anymore, right? We've all seen too much in ourselves, in each other, in the world. And so what mattered for many of us before COVID struck, it's kind of been dissolved. Our priorities have shifted, or maybe what we had trusted as being stable and secure has let us down. There are new ways of thinking emerging. And it's important that you give yourself permission now as we begin to reestablish ourselves, coming out of what has been a crazy 12 months, to consider what it is that you want for yourself. And the truth is, we always have that choice to be made for us. And we can make that choice at any time. Hold on, I just think, I'll just put someone on mute. Beautiful, thank you. So maybe you are a woman that feels like she speaks her truth some of the time, when it's safe or when it's convenient or when it feels easy. And my offering to you today, my bold offering to you today, is for you to remember, acknowledge, embody the fact that you are worthy of showing up in the pure, authentic rawness of who you are 100% of the time. And to explore in this life, in this time that you have right now, what would happen if you stopped pretending to not know what you want for yourself. I think a lot of us spend a lot of time pretending not to know. My work personally isn't done either, right? I've been living in my purpose for years. I quit a full-time job as a primary school teacher and went full-time into running businesses about 7 years ago. And since then, I have lived and breathed transformation and overflow. And yet even I know there is a deeper path and purpose awakening for me. My work's not done either. I'm not here preaching to you. I'm shoulder to shoulder with you, saying there is work to be done as women in this world to claim our space, our time, our worthiness, all that has kind of been denied or repressed within us by our conditioning, our upbringing, our education, our society, the media, all of that. But the thing is, before we can, raise this energy within us and go out into the world and fulfill our purpose, what we need to do and what we get to do is return to ourselves, to come home to ourselves and recalibrate. We get to resolve the guilt and the shame and the unworthiness and the not enoughness. We get to do things to recharge our own vibration so that we are in alignment with the new ways of being that we know that we consciously choose to step into for ourselves. Your ego probably can't even comprehend what I'm talking about and is probably resisting this whole conversation and thinking, what is she on, right? And your body probably can't quite feel into it yet, but your soul knows. So today, this is an experience for you to be with that inner knowing that exists within you. Suspend logic, suspend what you have already decided for yourself. Connect to that inner knowing that exists within you. It is unseen, but it is there nonetheless. This is a space and a place to suspend your own resistance around what is possible for you and see where you are taken within yourself when you hold space for the woman in you, the divine being in you. Let's get to know today, what is at the base of your being today? Get to know what's there within you and what your desires are. And when you become a woman that understands your own unique energetic expression, and you can learn to walk in it and breathe it and live it and not question yourself anymore, the motivation and inspiration and enoughness that you have spent your life searching for, it will begin to come through you as you. My desire is to support women in exploring their desires without a filter, to be witnessed in their own truth, free to express, rather than feeling like we have to shapeshift in a way so that we can belong to whatever group we find ourselves in. And so I'm here today to mirror back to you that you don't have to look the way you have been told to. You don't have to feel the way that you have been told to. And you can unthrottle yourself and speak your truth and let the world know what it is you stand for, what it is you're here to create and cause as a legacy on this earth. We have that opportunity in this life to be fully expressed, to be all that we are. A lot of the work that I do with women is to help them just see the conditioning, the beliefs, the actions that are holding them back so that they can rise into the highest peak of themselves. And in that place, set goals. In that place, create daily rituals for themselves to nurture that and foster that and breathe life into that and amplify that. And then bring that through in the way that they're going out into the world so that they can begin to live their purpose out loud, to put their desires into action. It's a beautifully powerful experience to allow yourself to be led as well. Our ego wants to be in charge and wants to be in control of every step that we take. And so there is beauty in just giving yourself over to a conversation like this, allowing yourself to be guided, to explore your own unique energetic signature. What you can generate, what you can express, what you can share is completely unique to you. I've worked closely with women, like I said, for many, many years. And what I notice mostly is that there's a lot of regurgitation of what other women desire, of their magic, of their way of being. But you have your own unique blueprint, your own unique code. And until you learn to honor, embody, and speak that language, you will always likely feel like you aren't enough, like nothing you do is quite enough. So the invitation is welcome for you to open yourself up to being in conversation with yourself in a new way. That's how I want to start this today. That's how I want to frame this for you today. So I am going to share with you an intro to manifestation because I know, let me go ahead and share my screen. Where am I? Here I am. That it is a word that is thrown around quite a lot. Oops, what am I doing? Dun, dun, dun. Sorry, guys. Okay, should be able to see that. Little nod if you can see that for me. Yeah, thanks, Bianca. I know that it's a word that gets thrown around. And to be honest, my first slide says manifestation is more than a hashtag. It is more than a hashtag. But it is a buzzword that used to make me gag when it was misused. I used to kind of get frustrated because I just see it thrown around. And what frustrated me is that, you know, our ability to manifest is a very real thing and it is a very powerful thing. But I think there's a misunderstanding out there that manifestation is kind of like the same as a magic trick or a wish or hopeful thinking. And it's none of those things. It is none of those things. And I like to help women tune into the power that they have to manifest in their own life. And so this is why I'm passionate about delivering this. So manifestation just means to create in your current reality. That's all it means. To manifest is to take something that doesn't currently exist and bring it into existence. It's not magic. Examples of manifestation, just so that we're clear. So the example that I have given is, if I want to manifest a healthy relationship, then I decide to do the internal healing work. I'm manifesting my next relationship by working on myself. Maybe I'm going to therapy, maybe I'm doing a workshop, maybe I'm reading books or listening to podcasts. I've made the decision to do the inner work that I have to do so that I'm a person who is ready and has the skills and understanding of how to actually move into a healthy relationship. If you were in a current relationship, right? If you are already in a relationship and you think, well, it's too late for me to read all the books, I'm here. If you are desiring or craving a deeper connection with your partner, which is a very common thing that we see, especially in long-term relationships, if you were to manifest that deeper connection, there are many things that you can do. And the one example that I've given is to write out in detail how ideally you would want that relationship to be. We call this a miracle question. So the miracle is tomorrow you wake up and your relationship is absolutely perfect. It's everything that you've wanted and more. What is it like? You need to be able to articulate that for yourself. That's the problem that most people have. We speak in these very general terms. I want a deeper connection. And when we ask, well, what does that look like? What does that feel like? What does that sound like? We freeze. We're not sure. So the first thing in manifesting anything, of course, is being able to bring clarity and articulating exactly what it is we're trying to pull into our current reality. And in this case, with this example, to manifest that, all you would need to do is bring clarity to that for yourself and then act as if that has happened. How we show up in relationship is up to us. And most of what we want to manifest just depends on the way that we are showing up and the belief that we are living through. And so if you wanted to experience more passion with your partner, if things have been a little flat, life's got busy, you've both been distracted. If you just decided for yourself that when he walks through the door or she walks through the door, I'm going to stop whatever I'm doing. I'm going to stop stirring the food. I'm going to stop yelling at the kids. I'm going to stop whatever I'm doing. And I'm just going to walk to him and press my body against him and give him a kiss and tell him that I'm happy to see him. That would change the dynamic instantly. Often it's just, you know, these little disruptions create enough of a spark for us to nurture something. That's the beginning of manifestation. It's way simpler than you might have thought, but it is about bringing that clarity and action. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Our ability to manifest is directly related to our sense of self-worth. Directly related. Your self-worth is going to determine how powerfully, how quickly, how competently, and how confidently you manifest anything. Manifesting requires that we believe wholeheartedly that we are worthy of what we are manifesting. You can't lie to yourself, right? Your mind knows, your body knows if you're just saying something or committing to something or setting a goal and you're not 100% behind it. You can do, be, and have anything you desire. And if what you desire is in conflict to the place where you grew up or what you have experienced, I just want you to be aware that it is only a conflict because it is different, not because it is wrong. Sometimes when we explore our desires and we think about the things that we want to manifest, we believe ourselves worthy, but then there's this secondary voice of family, of culture, of our social circle, of religion that questions us and makes us doubt whether that is allowed for us. If what you are trying to create for yourself is different to anything that you have experienced, anything that you have lived through, right? It's worth remembering that the conflict is only there because it is different, not because it is wrong. And often we need to just make that distinction for ourselves again and again and again. Working with women, this is something that I come up against a lot. So many women talk about the freedom and liberation that they want to feel within their lives in a certain area. But because their upbringing didn't reflect a mother claiming that for herself, right? Most of us were raised in households where love in our household meant self sacrifice. Our mothers gave us all of themselves all of the time and did nothing for themselves. So we don't really have a blueprint for what it looks like to be a woman who can nurture and give to her family or her career, or maybe both, and still give to herself, right? And so these are the conversations that we need to have within ourselves to work out what is blocking us. So when I say our ability to manifest is directly related to our sense of self-worth, it's not only because you don't have confidence or you feel badly about yourself. It could just be the belief systems that are embedded within you, right? Things from your ancestral lineage that you aren't even conscious of that are coming up through you and blocking your ability to really get behind what you are desiring and what you are manifesting for yourself. That thing that you are manifesting, so if you have a dream, a desire, a thought, an idea, you see some vision for yourself, it's already a part of you. We can't have an idea for ourselves. We can't have a dream for ourselves. We can't have a tugging for something that wasn't meant for us. That's not the way that it works. It's that cliche, if you can dream it, you can believe it. It is very true. Nothing is put on your heart by accident. And it is just our work to become aware of the attachments, the limiting beliefs, the conditioning put on us by the society we live in, and to recognize that they aren't our own so that we can let them go. This is where the biggest chunk of work takes place. And when we release what was never intended for us, we begin to naturally manifest what was meant for us. The things that are meant for us want to find their way to us. It shouldn't be hard work. It shouldn't be hustle and grind. It should be effortless and easy. Except that usually that there are so many things blocking us that we have put in our way, things that are not meant for us that we're clinging to or believing that we first need to dissolve. And from there, the most important thing on our manifestations is that we actually take action. Can you hear me? Take action. It's not about wishing. It's not about just calling in. It's not about writing it out 100 times and hoping for the best. Your manifestations depend on the action that you take. You simply don't feel your way to manifestation. And here's the catch. The action you choose to take matters. And the energy in which you take action matters even more. Your ability to manifest is directly related to how aligned you are with your own soul's purpose. I believe in this lifetime, we are here to remember our soul's purpose, the big reason why we are here, right? Discovering your purpose means that you will express the essence that only your soul can carry. You become fully expressed as the unique individual that you are. And then from that position, from that place, in that power, you will be able to manifest anything and everything that you want in your life. But if you aren't living authentically within your own truth, it's just going to be way more challenging than it needs to be. Most women have a little bit of trouble fully embodying the belief that they have a purpose, right? We allow ourselves to just take on roles: daughter, sister, wife, mother, nurse, teacher, checkout chick, and think that that's enough for us. Your purpose is not what you do. And it actually doesn't matter what you do in pursuit of your own soul's purpose. When we're talking about the purpose of our soul, we're talking about our energetic signature. It's how you do it and why you do it. Your unique energetic frequency that only you can tune into and radiate. I know my soul's purpose is to pull the best out of everyone, to make them see how magnificent they are. I would do that in any context that I find myself in any conversation that I find myself in, right? I let people see into the mirror of themselves and see how beautiful and fascinating and gifted and unique and necessary they are. I'm not saying that's what your purpose should be. What I am saying, though, is no matter what job I take on, no matter what context I find myself in, no matter who I'm talking to, I know that that is my purpose. That is what will come through. And for most people, we've just been busy checking off things on a resume, not realizing that it's not the job that matters. It's not the job or the pay packet or the holidays or the title that is going to fulfill us. It's knowing that we are doing things as an expression of our soul's purpose, that we are in alignment with the gifts that we have been given to share. Most people aren't living like that. Most people are disconnected from self, and we haven't been taught how to express ourselves. And we're uncertain that we are even allowed to seek the wisdom within us and uncover our soul's purpose, right? We've got obligations and responsibilities and things that we're supposed to fulfill, right? And I know for a lot of people, when I have this conversation, it seems far too out there and woo-woo, and that it might even be impossible to access that part of us. So if you haven't thought of yourself in this way, maybe life has, distracted you. You've been busy, you've been having kids, working hard, whatever it is that you've been doing, and you just haven't been in conversation with yourself. I want to give you the opportunity now to just stop and consider, what is your offering to the world? And I ask this gently, and I ask this without judgment. And if you have no answer to this question in this moment, that's okay. That is perfectly okay. But it's just worth remembering you are allowed to ask yourself this question and live life in pursuit of discovering what that might be. And it is important that you do, because the world needs each of us to not only uncover what our gift is, but to share it. Are you an artist creating a certain type of music, supporting women connecting to their bodies, teaching people about the healing properties of nature? Is your soul's purpose to raise children? There's an infinite list that I could go through. And my vocabulary would probably fail me when it comes to describing all the things that a soul might be here on this earth to create and cause. The point is, we all have a mission statement that provides us with the direction that we need to be following in our day-to-day lives. And our roles, our jobs, the things that we do, the iterations of self give us an opportunity for impact. But I just want to remind you not to get caught up in the roles and the titles that we are given. Underneath all of that is the essence of who we are. So is your essence fully expressed? When we begin to manifest, what we ask ourselves is, what is my energetic signature? As big or small as it might be, and is my life an opportunity to make my mark? When we're in flow, everything feels pretty good and things just work in our favor. Have you ever experienced where life is just happening for you and the universe just seems to propel you forward because you meet the right people at the right time, or you'll pick up a book and you're like, wow, this speaks directly to me. I needed to read this today. And you just start waking up naturally at the right time. Things just happen around you for you. That's how you know you're in flow. When everything's hard, when everything's a struggle, when it feels like you're moving slow motion in water through the day, yeah, that's a sign that you are not in flow. You are not where you are meant to be. You are not where you are best received, and you are not being given the opportunity to express your own unique energetic signature. Now, a lot of people think that they need to go out into the world and create a purpose or find a purpose. It's not about that. We just need to remember who we are, to spend more time in conversation with ourselves, to give ourselves more opportunity to discover what we enjoy, what we think, what we desire. My experience has been, my lived experience has been, that when we're not in alignment, the universe really tries hard to send us signals. We know that something might feel off, right? We might have trouble sleeping. We don't feel motivated. We might be with our partner for, 10 years, and then all of a sudden we look at them and we just think like, I'm just not even attracted to you. Did you always look this way? Right? Something's just off in all areas. But we ignore that. We just drink more coffee, we turn the music up in the car, we take more meds, and we tell ourselves, this is life. Everyone feels this way. It's up and down, right? Life is hard. Somewhere along the way, through no fault of our own, we have been influenced by others and taken off course, away from the path intended for us. It might have been a teacher who told you what you were capable of or not capable of. It might have been parents who encouraged you / forced you into making certain decisions about what you would study or what you would do after school. Could be a partner who influenced you in where you would move and where you would live and how you would raise a family, right? Sooner or later, if we're not living in alignment, when we're not on the right path for our soul's purpose, the universe will trip us harder. And we start to feel anxiety, or we might experience panic attacks, or be riddled with doubt and just despair. And sometimes we listen, sometimes we do something about that, but more often than not, we just continue to take that on too, assuming that life is tough and this is just the way that it should be. If you've been a person who has struggled and pushed in a situation that was just not meant for them, damaging, destructive, dangerous to body, spirit, or soul, you'll know what I'm talking about. That eventually what happens is the universe will send you a message loud and clear, and it will be, stop that shit. Something drastic will happen. Could be a divorce, it could be a death, you could lose a job, a global pandemic could hit, yeah? Something big will happen. And ultimately, we don't want to wait for these big things to happen before we make moves for ourselves, right? We want to avoid that having to happen. The universe isn't against us. It's trying to bring us back into alignment. It was trying the first time when it whispered to you, it gave you those nudges of discontent. It wants you to find your flow. And so right now, we can very easily take an assessment of whether we believe we are in alignment with our soul's purpose and working out how to best express that by looking at the results of how we are taking on each day. So are you excited by your day? Do you get to the end of the day and think, man, that was great? Not perfect, but gosh, that was great. I'm growing. I feel expansive. I feel, there is potential and possibility, and I'm looking forward to what I'm going to be able to do tomorrow. Or do you get to the end of the day and you think, thank fuck for that? A good almost 6 years ago, I remember one of the things that really woke me up to the way that I was living and the choices that I had made and the fact that I really had to change was that it was about to be my 29th birthday. And I distinctly remember thinking, oh my God, only 29. How am I going to do this for so much longer? How many more years have I got left of this life? And I felt like I'd already run out of steam and the momentum of being me. And I was only 29. That was my wake-up call. We have to look at the results of the choices that we have made for ourselves. And the tricky thing is, and what I experienced is that sometimes we might be experiencing what society tells us is success, But when we think about that success, our body just like contracts. You might find that you're in a relationship and it's progressing really quickly, but you know in your heart of hearts, this isn't the soul match for you. But you're just going along with it because that's what you do, right? That's what society tells you you should be doing at a certain age. It could be a job that you're in and more opportunities keep getting presented, and maybe you're getting promoted and you're just thinking like, but I don't even like this. Right? When I first moved to Geelong, after I had quit teaching, I opened a tutoring business. And I had this dream on my heart for this tutoring business that would support children that were just falling through the cracks in the mainstream system, and that we would be able to like customize learning experiences to just better suit their needs and, be of support to their family. And I had this dream for like the 10 years that I was in the classroom. And moving to Geelong, because I was from New South Wales, my teaching accreditation, it's so silly, but didn't transfer over, right? And so instead of going and being accredited in Victoria, I thought this is a perfect time for me to open this business, right? To sign that I should open this business. And I was right. That business was so successful so quickly. But ultimately, I continued to change and evolve. And during that time, I gave birth to my son. And the way that I was parenting was different to the way that I had approached education, the way that I had been taught about education as a teacher. And I just had deeper insights into what it meant to raise this beautiful, unique little being. And the thought of pushing him into a mainstream sector that was going to one day tell him that the way that he expressed himself or the pace that he learned wasn't fast enough, wasn't good enough, wasn't whatever, it just made me sick. And I was looking at these children that were coming through the tutoring business that I had and realizing that there was nothing wrong with them, right? They were just different. They just were not fitting into the curriculum set for them, but yet they were made to feel like they were wrong and that they had to catch up. And it was just soul destroying. And I knew that I just didn't want to be part of it anymore. I didn't really have the answer either, still don't. Um, but I knew I didn't want to be part of it anymore. But because it was a successful business, everybody kept saying to me, continue, continue, continue. You'd be crazy to sell this now. Look how well it's doing. And so I was making money. It was successful, but I felt sick about it. And eventually I did sell that business. And it was the greatest relief to just not be part of the problem anymore, as I saw it, as I felt it. Was it financially a smart decision? No. Stupid decision, right? But sometimes we have to do what is best for us and our beliefs and our values and actually live our values and actually feel integrity in who we are and what we're contributing to the world and how we're making impact. But we don't see that a lot. Most people are happy to just be on autopilot, checking boxes, doing what needs to be done, right? This is a conversation to wake you up that there may be areas in your life that you have become complacent, areas that have plateaued, areas that you have just accepted, areas that you have just been able to satisfy yourself with mediocrity. That if you really looked at it and you really questioned yourself and you really sat with yourself, you might not be so comfortable with the fact that you have allowed that in your life. So sometimes we have these ideas about what we want to create when we realize that maybe where we have been is not where we want to stay. Sometimes where we've been is great, but we're ready for expansion. We're ready to evolve. We're ready for something different. Nothing stays the same, right? We're on an earth that spins and we're spinning around in space. Everything moves. The seasons change. We age. Things are not supposed to stay the same. But so many people might decide that they want to manifest something for themselves and they have a bit of a false start, right? They see the vision for themselves, they go for it, and that's cool though. That happens. That happens. And we learn about ourselves and we train our minds and we get the tools to better align ourselves, to understand what we need to support ourselves. We learn how to break through the obstacles and limiting beliefs, and then we actively choose who we are and what we want again and again and again. And once we have done that, we create daily rituals to support us in accessing and activating all that is within us and capable of making that our reality. And the spoiler that I put here is to get to the path of least resistance, you have to be willing to go on the path that actually offers the most resistance. You have to do the healing work. The things that hold you back, to get to the source of what holds you back, we sometimes have to look at things that we've denied or ignored or repressed. We have to be willing to heal before we can move forward, because ultimately we can't outrun what is weighing heavy on us. We have to do that work within ourselves. And for a lot of us, we only learn by living the lie. I've written here, I had to live my lie to seek my truth. For so long in my life, I settled into a life that just was soul destroying. It was unsatisfying, right? I was successful by what I had chosen to do in my life, but I just couldn't make the money feel purposeful for me, right? And I felt so confused at that time. There was so much doubt. My parents had basically killed themselves to make sure that I was well educated. And so I believed I owed it to them to be a success. So, as an example, when I decided that I wanted to leave my job as a primary school teacher, that felt like a really hard thing to do because my parents had worked so hard to send me to school and, so that I could go to uni. And I did all of that. I ticked all the boxes. I had a full-time job as a teacher in a government school, which basically is like secured income until you die or till you retire. And here I was saying like, yeah, but I was unfulfilled. And for years, I just went to a job that I didn't really feel fulfilled by. And I played the role, but there was always a part of me hidden. And during that time, I was seeking and searching for the conscious expansion that I could feel within me to try and understand, what is this? Why do I feel like there is more for me? Why don't I feel satisfied sitting in here teaching these children? Why do I constantly feel like I have to look out? And if you have that feeling, right, that's that pull, that's that knowing, that's that inner knowing that you're not in the right place. I was in alignment with purpose, right? Teaching, connecting, educating, all of that, yes, but still not here, not now in this place. And we have to be willing to listen to the nudges within us, to honor the truth of our own experience. And ultimately, my story is that I made a lot of decisions in my life over the last 5 years that effectively saw me disowned. And that's a long story for another day. But I share that because I want you to know that I know that sometimes making decisions in your life to honor your truth is not easy. And sometimes it does cost you everything that you have. I lost everything, businesses, the houses that I had invested in, like I say, even my name, right? But in doing so, there was like sweet surrender for me because I had let everybody down, but then no one expected anything from me. And I was able for the first time in my life as a woman to make conscious decisions for myself, because what I had realized was that my life had been a series of wanting to do the right thing, to be the good girl. I had done what my family had expected me to do. And then I was in a nice relationship. And because I was very young, 18, when I went into my first relationship, and that was an 11-year relationship, I didn't have a vision for who I was and what I wanted for myself. And because my first husband was a little more ahead of me in his plan for his life, I just kind of went with the flow of that. And so what happened was I got wrapped up in this whole world, in this whole way of being, in this whole life that I had willingly created. But when I looked around it eventually, as I started to grow into the woman that I know myself as today, I looked around and realized like this is not for me. It's like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, where she looks around and she thinks like, how did I get here? It was that kind of moment. Now, I'm not suggesting that you need to burn your whole life down as I did. But what I would like you to consider are there things that you have chosen or decided for yourself over time that have not been conscious decisions for you? Or are there things that are past their use by date that you might like to just explore in a really fun way about how you could liberate yourself in that area? And if you could dream for yourself in that area, what would you do? What would you experience? What would you create? What would freedom look like for you? Our ability to manifest will come from a willingness to turn inward. That was my experience. I do believe in something greater than us, and it doesn't really matter what you believe in. right? What divinity you associate with. All I know is for me that something greater than me kept me going. Something greater than me kept nudging me and would not let me settle for anything less than the life that I have created for myself today. And let me tell you, I turned my whole world upside down about 5 years ago. And when I was really clear about what I wanted for myself and who I was going to be without the baggage and the responsibility and the commitments that I had made before I knew who I really was, and I stood in the power of who I knew myself to be and what I wanted for my life, man, did the manifestations come in fast. It has all like popped up around me. And it can happen for you too, but not if you are more committed to your old ways of being and thinking and operating than you are of the belief that you can, in fact, choose who you are going to become, choose to get really curious about what your soul's purpose is, and then get to work and be in alignment with that. You are allowed to be a woman that desires things for herself. And what do you desire? That's the question I love to ask everybody, particularly women, because I think it's a really powerful and potent word. It's not what do you want? What would you like? What do you desire for yourself in this life? And you can begin by selecting any area of your life that you can identify needs your energy and attention. Human design experts tell us that at all times we're thinking about 4 different areas: relationships, money, health and wellness, and spirituality. We're all thinking about those 4 areas, how to improve them, how to take care of them, pretty much at all times, in different orders, with different focus, with different levels of energy, right? Depending on what we value and what we prioritize. But usually one of those 4 areas we can each say needs some kind of work or attention or liberation because we're not satisfied with it. When it comes to our bodies, when it comes to health and wellness, we get to decide for ourselves what we actually want the experience of being in our own body to be, how we want to feel about ourselves, not based on the goals that we have set for ourselves for the last 10 years, but as the woman we decide to be today. And when you can understand that you are here to be in alignment with your soul's purpose and deliver more of yourself and be fully expressed and just be in alignment with all of the magic that is within you, taking care of yourself becomes a no-brainer. Of course, I'm going to exercise. I want to be energized. Of course, I'm going to nourish myself. I want to be in the best shape that I can be so that I can feel confident within myself. It's a different way of approaching it that you are allowed to take on for yourself if the way that you have been approaching weight loss or your body or whatever has not been working for you. Same goes with money, same goes with relationships, same goes with spirituality. You are allowed to define for yourself what is important, what feeling good actually looks like and feels like, and how you want to go about approaching the way you invest your time and energy in these areas. It's as simple as deciding what you want to experience and have clarity around who you choose to be and curate daily rituals to support that. The things that you do daily should be in support of you being constantly elevated into the vibration of your highest self. The things that we do for ourselves daily, so often I hear about self-care as being a way to rest and relax and unwind. And of course, that's important to give that to ourselves. But for the most part, the things that we consciously choose for ourselves can be so much more powerful than that too. We can relax and rest and unwind and consciously choose to give to ourselves and meet our own needs in ways that remind us of who we choose to be and all that we can be in a way that is fully expressed and in the power that we have within us. So again, what area of life would you like to breathe more life into for yourself? What do you want to manifest? It's fun. It's a question that you can play with. So many people are afraid to say it out loud because then they feel like they're going to be pushed into action. That's not the way it works. No one can make you do anything that you're not ready for. But to just have that honest conversation and dialogue with yourself, to allow what's at the base of your being, your desires, to actually come up and come through you and for you to witness them It's the beginning of something. So think about the area that you would like to experience some sort of change in, or you want it to feel differently or look differently or produce a different result. And just very simply consider what's working, what's not working, and what do I desire? If you can just bring clarity to those three questions in that area of your life that you're exploring, you'll get deep insights into what the next thing to do is without even having to set a big goal for yourself. When you can really identify what's working, what's not working, and what you desire, the next step just kind of like presents itself. And then you can ask yourself, what are you willing to become to magnetize the life that you desire? And what are you willing to declare for yourself? These are big questions that we often need support with. Support to like find the courage to say the words, but also support to kind of like shine a light on what we're saying and to not challenge it in a way that is judgmental, but to help support us in actually being truthful with ourselves. Because for so many of us, we've set intentions or set goals and we haven't followed through. And we're just used to speaking and saying the right things or what we think we should say to pass the test, right? And this isn't about testing yourself. There's no right or wrong here. Your life depends on you being able to be in honest communication with yourself around these sorts of questions and to take action based on the truth that comes through you when you actually answer these questions. I know for the most part, I share these questions with women and they do nothing with them. But for the one or two that do, right, they begin to just shift their perception, to take a little bit of a wider perspective on what is possible for them in that area of their life. And that's a miracle in itself. To be able to take a wider perspective, to see something in a new way that is slightly different to what you have just been experiencing on autopilot, maybe for 10, 20 years, that's a miracle. So often when we want to experience change in an area of our life, we think we need a roadmap or a plan or a strategy. We need to know what to do before we can get started. And humans love certainty. So we want to know not only what the plan is, but how we can make sure that we don't fail, how we can get it right. And what I want to remind you is working on who you need to be is going to be far more powerful than trying to understand what you need to do. Our daily rituals, the things that we do every day for ourselves, with ourselves, should support us in activating that which is within us to be more of who we choose to be. We need to work out what person, who do I need to be? What aspects of myself need to come forward so that I will actually do the things to take action and manifest the life that I want. I'm done for today, my loves. That's all that I have to say on that. And I know I'm laughing because I've said a lot. And so I know that not everything that I have said is going to drop or land, but just take whatever has resonated within any level of your own consciousness and just feel into it. I've personally found when I have done any sort of personal development, the things that I felt the most abrasive or the things that kind of like annoyed me were usually the things that I needed to hear. When we feel a certain like resistance or hesitation, it's because it's like striking a nerve, right? And so if some of what I've said today has just kind of irritated you and you're not really sure why, that is worth exploring in itself. And again, what's most important to know is if I have thrown questions out to you and you haven't been able to come up with an answer, that's not a problem. It's actually a good thing. And anytime we are questioning ourselves, which is a really important component of inner work, good questions are what produce great results in our life. We need to understand that usually when we are given a question or we're going into a process of inquiry within ourselves, the first answer that pops up or the first thing that comes to mind is usually just a reflection of our conditioning, of what we've been told is the right thing to say or what we would just say by default. It's reactivity. It's not actually a reflection of our own truth, what's at the base of our being. So give yourself time to percolate with those questions and see what answers arise for you. Like I said, this is no test, there's no pass or fail. No one is coming to grade you. You can't be better or worse than anyone else in your own pursuit of self. All right, my loves, I will stop recording.